Oh, hi, Aquarius Al. We're live.
Hi,
We're
Debbie.
a little bit late. So, welcome everybody. We'll wait a couple minutes till some people come in. But how are you doing, Chris? I'm really glad to see you.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Robin. I'm good. How are you?
Now, I know you were on a little bit of lockdown or whatever about seeing your niece. Did you get to see her yet, or did you stream with her today?
No, I saw her. I saw her today. I can still. We're on lockdown here, but I can still see. I can still do essential childcare because her mum counts as a key worker.
Yeah.
I can still watch Sophie. So yeah, no, I've still been watching her. So yeah, I had her today, and that was good.
Okay. Well, I think you said you couldn't for a little while because she had seen some relatives or something, or
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, yeah. There was 1 week where she stayed at home, but no, everything's fine now. That was a couple of weeks ago.
oh, for anybody in the no, never mind. Let me welcome people in. Aquarius Al, Kristen Louise, June, Jamie, Zane, L, Tarot Stash, Deanne, and Beecham. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah,
We
everyone.
have a surprise guest today, but just before I bring them in, I'll save that for later. Before I bring them in, Chris, your screen is blacked out, or black it out now, please, so we can.
Yep. Okay. Do you want me to minimize my YouTube chat as well so I can't see anything?
Okay.
Right, hang on. Right, Robin, I think you are good to go.
Are you in the dark?
I'm in the dark. I'm looking at YouTube, not YouTube, I'm looking at Facebook.
All right, I'm going to let the surprise guest in. Everybody in the chat room, don't give it away. Oh,
Well, I
no.
can't see anyone in the chat room, but make sure your guest stays on mute.
Yeah. And the person who's coming in, don't say anything until I tell you to. Okay, I'm going to bring them in and we're going to ask some questions, see if you can guess who they are.
Okay.
I don't really know very much about this person.
Okay.
She's been part of the community for a little while now. She has an alter ego, or an alias, I should say.
Okay.
And she also has a collection other than tarot. Have you got any guesses yet?
I do, kinda, but it's a bit random. I
Go ahead, take a
something
stab.
just popped up. It's not Melissa, is it?
Melissa?
Yeah.
No.
No. The reason I guessed that is because I know that Melissa is a Zupan or something.
Oh, yeah.
One of Brant's friends has alternative names, and she has all these kind of witch balls behind her. So I thought that might have been what you were referring to. But right, okay, I'll try again.
That's true. That's a very good guess.
Yeah. So now I'm thinking, gosh, who do I know that has another collection other than tarot?
Oh, let me think. If mystery person, if you want to type in the chat, if you have any ideas for clues that I can give Chris, let me know. I'm having a hard time thinking of additional clues. I would say this other collection by this person you have seen examples of. She's very handy. She's very creative. She's very knowledgeable.
Oh gosh. I feel as though my mind's blanking now. Like I should know exactly what you're talking about. Creative.
And she's wearing pink today, and she's very pretty in pink.
Oh my.
Give me one more guess, and I'll let you off the hook.
Do you know what? I'm actually really struggling to guess. Have you got any more clues for me?
I don't think I have any more clues.
No, I should be able to get it. I'm just totally blanking here. Right, who do I know that's really creative and has
Does
a
anybody
collection
in
of
the
things
chat
to do
have
as
any
well?
clues I can give Chris?
I've seen.
Oh, it says she sent you a video message once. Somebody said that.
On what medium?
On what medium?
Yeah, like Slide, Facebook, like what type of video message? Like, do you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Oh man.
All right. Well, I'll give you a little more of a clue. She's wearing flowers in her hair.
It's not candy, is it?
No.
Candy.
Oh, this person says Glide. They sent you a video message on Glide.
Right, I've only got a very limited number of people in Glide.
Oh no, you're cheating. You're gonna look on
Oh,
Glide.
I'm allowed to. Gosh. I'm so sorry in advance for this.
No, let
my
me
brain's
say
clearly
that
not in the game.
my clues have a twist in there. So, and this person is a little bit twisted too. So I made it a little harder for you to guess by one of my clues.
Right.
Oh, here's one. This person is a good storyteller.
Oh, I know exactly who it is. It's Taro Sachet. Yeah. See when you told me one of your clues was twisted. Can I turn this on now?
You can bring it on. Taro Sachet, you can put your mic on now.
Well, hi there, Chris. How are you? It's so good seeing you. It was nice of Mr. Robin to invite me as a surprise guest just for you. Just for you.
I just feel honoured. What collection have I seen that you've got? What?
Well,
what
you've seen some of my tarot collections.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Is it your pencils?
I don't know you well enough yet, Chris, to show you all of that. Good Lord. What would my mama think of me? Chris.
I was thinking of the pencil collection. What's the?
Oh yes, oh yes. And here's one right here.
Is this the pencil?
Of course,
Where do you keep that, Taro Sachet?
Well, I wouldn't be a real lady if I told you. Come on, Chris. What do you think of me? What would my brother say? Oh, my twin brother would just be going crazy.
Now, surprise guest, it's totally up to you whether you want to maintain your alias or cast it off and be, you know, how we usually know you for the rest of the.
Well, I kind of like the hat, don't you? It's good. It's good. And I actually wore a new scarf, you know. I thought it brought out my cheeks, you know.
It brings out the mustache. Your mustache seems like it's getting longer and waxier.
Oh, Robin, I bet you say that to all of us, all of the boys. Boy, it looks so long.
Say that to all
Ooh.
the girls I know who have
Oh,
mustaches.
my goodness. Uh,
Uh,
sorry. I'm trying to look at the chat too. So sorry to crash on you, Chris, but when Robin asked, I was like going, oh, I am totally doing this. This is my first appearance live as Tarot Sachet. I mean, come on, it's good, isn't it?
It's fantastic. It's amazing. I can't believe I didn't get it right away when he said alter ego.
I thought
Well,
your guess of Melissa was spot on. I never even thought about that. What that was a really
I
good.
don't even know where that came from because I don't know Melissa particularly well. I've only kind of spoken to her a handful of times in live, so that kind of came through the ether. It was totally wrong, so it doesn't matter. But yeah.
Well, I may coax her in as a surprise guest at some point, but I need to do better at thinking up these clues. And thank you, Tarot Sachet or Gerald, as the case may be.
Wait,
you're
that's
welcome.
Gerald.
I gave.
Give me a minute. I can make that happen.
I gave him such a last minute notice on this, like half an hour ago, because I didn't think about stuff we might want to discuss until the last minute, and then I thought, oh, it might be better to have more than two people in on this because I don't know too much about the subject, and the more the merrier in terms of tarot investigation and ideas about the tarot. But because I had two things I wanted to discuss. In fact, I almost wanted to bring in Kristen Louise as well, but I didn't contact her because she had gotten the Three of Swords a lot over the last couple of weeks. And I've been thinking a lot about alternative interpretations for the Three of Swords. And then I also got a new deck over the weekend that switches the elements, the fire and air elements. And so I wanted to discuss that with both of you too, like element associations. But I don't find it distracting unless you find it distracting. Tarot.
I'll wear it as long as I can. It's just one of those things that it's my head's not that big yet, so it's
Is it
it's just an accessory.
Is it itchy?
But I think no, it's not. But I do think it makes my head look so small.
Can I ask, like, why do you actually have that? Like, because you just kind of pulled that out. You already had that. Like, what's that actually from?
I have this because they're peonies, and they're different color peonies, and peonies are my favorite flower. They remind me of my mother and my grandmother. So I have on my door. I like to put appropriate flowers, wreaths on, and I spotted this, and it just makes me happy. And I moved it over here after someone referred to Tarot Stash as Tarot Sachet in a live, and it just went downhill from there. It'd be a great drag persona, wouldn't it?
Well, actually, sachets are dried flowers in a packet, right?
Yes, but they're also a great way to walk out of a room. I'm glad you weren't drinking anything when you first saw me, Chris. That would have been,
Do we have beverages today?
Yeah, I've got a can of Iron Brew.
Iron Brew. What have you got? Is that water?
It's water. This is glass quart 4 of 5 today.
I have cherry Coke, which goes with your colors today, but
it does. That's so nice of you. So nice of you, Robin. You're a real gentleman.
I tell you, I'm disappointed in it though. I often, when I go to a restaurant, with a burger, I will order a cherry Coke, but they use like Coke cherry syrup or like maraschino cherry syrup or something, it's totally different than the taste of the whatever they put in the cherry Coke. I don't like this. It's kind of chemically tasting. It doesn't taste like cherry to me. And I heard that there's like a wild cherry Pepsi, but I haven't been able to find that yet to give it a try.
Is it regular soda or diet soda?
No, it's regular, which makes it even sweeter
Okay.
than usual. It's funny. I use sweet and low all the time in my tea and coffee and stuff, but I can't stand artificial sweetener in my sodas. I can taste the difference. But when I think because I don't use very much in my coffee and tea, like 2/3 of one packet, and it's plenty sweet enough. I discovered that early on that if you use 2 or 3 packets, it's just you can get that weird aftertaste, but you don't need as much with artificial sweetener. I think they put too much in, the beverages, but usually I just drink seltzer, but I had a toasted cheese sandwich a few minutes ago. I thought, well, that'll go a little bit better.
And was it on the live with you and Chris where I learned about putting the you have to say the sauce that you put on your toasted cheese, Chris? Worcestershire.
Oh,
Worcestershire.
Worcester.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
I say Worcester.
Yeah. Okay. So that sauce, I was watching. I think the two of you were on or something like that, but together, and so I've been adding it to my grilled cheese sandwiches. And I told Chris before I did the round table ratings with him, I'm 50. How old am I? Am I 54? And I have finally figured out how to make grilled cheese sandwiches properly. And so I add the Worcester sauce on them. So it's great. I mean,
Chris,
he's changed my life.
Chris,
He's changed my life.
Chris, do you put it on the inside or on the outside of the top layer of bread?
So like bread, cheese, Worcester sauce.
Okay. Oh, and then more bread, or you do open face?
No, so I do open. Like when we have cheese on toast, it's like and made in the grill, just in the grill in the oven.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
I don't have the only cooking devices that I have anymore are a toaster and a microwave, which isn't good for grilled cheese. But I did discover if I toast the bread and I only use sharp cheddar in there and put it right between and stick it in the microwave for about 20 seconds, it's good as a toasted cheese. It's not a grilled cheese, but it's a toasted cheese. It works though.
Richard's funny. Richard's like going, there's something different about you, Gerald. New glasses? Oh my
He's
gosh.
using a different wax in his moustache.
Yeah, it's the extra wax. Yeah.
I noticed you growing out your beard, Chris, because it looks more full than it was, and it looks very good.
Thanks. I'm just lazy, to be honest, Robin. It's kind of half between laziness and my skin isn't really the best. So if I'm hacking away at my skin like all the time, it tends to kind of flare up. So I only really shave once every week or once every couple of weeks, to be honest. So you will see me like kind of like more, with more stubble at times. It's just because I don't shave very often.
I love your subtle secret messages, Gerald.
Your stage
everybody has to have a hook. Mine is writing notes and going like this.
She's me in a chat in a thing the other day, and when I asked a question, I guess you weren't able to type it on in your chat or something. But so he sent me a message, and it's like smoke signals or pigeon or something.
Somebody asked Taro Sachet a question. I think it was Diane from the Thrush Cottage. She says, does Taro Sachet have a favourite spread?
Oh, okay.
Does Taro Sachet have a favorite spread. Well, I'm pretty fond of peanut butter, and that spreads. There's cheese spread. But actually, my fiance and I are working on a spread. I am going to be doing a live with Jilly for Wine and Arrow, and we were just working on that, and that is my new favorite spread because it's like, I don't know about you, but it's just wonderful when he also does tarot, and I had an idea. I presented it to him. He stewed on it. We tried a spread, and then he added a different layer to it, which was like all of a sudden the heavens opened up and light came down. It's like, this is perfect.
Who did you say you're working on it with?
My fiance, Jeffrey.
Oh, and how many cards are in the spread?
It is either 3, 6, or 9 cards.
Okay. Yeah, it's tricky on Jilly's Wine and Tarot and also on her Sunday group. The spreads have to keep pretty small, like 3 or 4 cards, and I find that a little bit challenging. You feel
I got a plan.
Like there's only so many spreads you can do with only 3 or 4 cards, but I guess there aren't, but it feels that way.
I got a plan. Yeah, but don't tell Jilly yet.
Okay.
So.
I was gonna. Oh, hey, Jen's Balanced Tarot just arrived. Hey, Jen. She says that's quite a crown of flowers, Gerald. I mean, Tarot Sachet. I was gonna ask you guys how your Valentine's Days went. Did either of you celebrate at all? I didn't, but.
Tarot Sachet, ladies first.
Actually, Jeffrey surprised me with a dozen red roses, and I made red roses, which are not in my hair. But I also made an egg frittata and a soda bread. So that turned out very nice. So. Yes, and no, I did not make lasagna. That may be tomorrow. That was for Diane.
Oh, cool.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I actually had a lovely day. Sandy made me, well, he made me breakfast in bed, but when he was bringing it to me, I was actually like I'd got myself organised and was heading down the stairs, and he was like, "Oh, I was bringing you breakfast in bed," and I was like, "I'll come downstairs and have it with you." So he made me French toast and a cup of tea, which was lovely. I made some lunch, just some pasta for lunch, and then he made steak for dinner. We've been loving usage like peanut butter, Gerald. Do you like you heard of Bang Bang chicken? Like Bang Bang is like it's kind of like a curry sauce, but it's basically peanut butter with some spices and stuff.
No.
It's beautiful. You should look it up if you think you'd like it. But we've been having this Bang Bang chicken, but the Bang Bang sauce is lovely. So he made the Bang Bang sauce to have with our station chips. So yeah, and he actually got me the Starman Tarot, which came today, but it was a Valentine's gift. So that's just arrived during. I opened it up whilst I was listening to Corin's stream this afternoon. So yeah, I had a great read.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay. Should we look at the chat to see if there's anything going on in there?
So Zane said
Thai peanut sauce. It's Tiny Trinkets welcome says like a Thai peanut sauce.
I think so. Yeah. To be honest with you, it's always Sandy that makes it, so I'm not even really sure what. I know that there's obviously peanut butter, and I think there's soy sauce as part of it. Maybe some garlic and stuff as well, but I'm not 100% sure.
And Zane says, "Ooh, Bang Bang chicken, so good. Bang Bang shrimp are also a big thing here."
Right. Okay.
Beecham says he thinks it is, but it's like satay sauce.
Yeah, kind of like a satay sauce, yeah. Without the coconut. Whenever I make satay sauce for my noodles, I use coconut milk, but I don't think you use that in this.
I think back to favorite spreads. My favorite spread is made by this company called Downey. They make this stuff called honey butter. It's a blend of honey and butter, and they have two. One's plain, the other one has cinnamon in it, and the one with cinnamon is just amazing. I can't get it in New York though, unless I have mail order it.
Mm.
But I grew up slathering that stuff on my toast. I loved it. And I've tried even making it just by blending honey and butter, but whatever their recipe is, I don't know. I can't recapture it. I mean, it comes out like taffy or something. It's really, really amazing.
Nice.
So I guess we could sort of start. I've been thinking a lot about two things, like I mentioned. The Three of Swords is Kristen in the house,
Yes, indeed.
and also Elements, because she was having trouble reading the Three of Swords. And so, first of all, I'm going to show you a couple of cards. Do you guys have the Solabusca? Either of you?
No.
I have a scarlet imprint of it.
I have one that I got off Make Playing Cards. So it's like, I have the Three of Wands and the Three of Swords, which are very different. And it's interesting here if you think about an element thing, because hearts are usually cups and swords are usually sort of air or mind or thoughts. And so that kind of rings twisted wrong way around here, I guess. With swords through the heart and wands through the mind or the head. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of curious. But this is the deck or one of the decks supposedly that Pixie based some of her art on, and I think that's where she got the idea for her Three of Swords.
Yeah.
And which I have a darker version of here.
Mm-hmm.
And do either of you have one of those you can hold up while I read a couple of things? It's going to be hard for me to hold it up and read at the same time.
Yeah, sure, I can.
Can it be any three?
Three of Swords.
Okay, let me see if I can find one.
Well, I have two books here. I mean, we've kind of, if you're in Jen's Balance Tarot's Sunday Play Date, been through some of this before, but we use this a lot. And so I'm thinking about some of the meanings that they have here. I'm just going to read a few of these things and see what you think. The three swords stab through the heart. What can this mean other than pain, harm, sorrow? But we also know the image of Eros and the arrows that he shoots into our heart. Generally, we have a positive attitude to the God of love and his habits. Basic meaning, the spheres of the mind, intellect, swords, and the heart meet up and somehow combine inextricably. Conscious thought finds its way into the recesses of the heart's domain. Thus, what was only germinal, elusively intuited by the heart, is made clear and brought onto the conscious plane by the swords. You comprehend what your heart is trying to tell you and what you need to do about it. Spiritual experience, understanding what keeps the world together on the deepest levels. As a card for the day, shine a light onto your recollections and expectations. Participation brings reward. As a prognosis, a tendency, don't let your heart become a murderer's pit. Wounds heal when they're treated properly. For love and relationships, give love a chance, including your love of truth and honesty. For success and happiness, caring instead of careworn. You seem to relate a lot to the Cupid aspect of the heart, really, but I'm going to go into the symbols a little bit. No figures depicted, and yet one part of the body is seen close up. What is shown in 3, the Empress, is repeated here on the level of the swords, thrusting through to the essentials, bringing together heart and mind. The card is a mirror. The shading in the image could represent rain. One feels wounded, suffering. The atmosphere is dismal. It's raining in my heart, says the song. Equally, though, the shading indicates a mirror. The clouds of fog recede, just as when Eros's arrow pierces our heart, we feel smitten but light and full of enthusiasm. The proportions, in comparison with the rest, the heart is shown large, while the swords are rather small. You have a big heart, be proud of it, defend yourself, and don't let mere pinpricks have influence on you. Our whole heritage and all our possibilities are in our blood. They are our birthright, inheritance, and also assignment, just as with all other feelings. The emotions of the heart are not automatically positive. The purpose of the swords is therefore precisely to help us sort out our affairs of the heart, making the right choices and to put a name to things. In short, to find the right perspective. The composition together, the swords and the heart form and the interface which joins the heart with the intellect, which is a point I brought up with Kristen last week. From the psychological point of view, this represents the basis of consciousness. In practice, this means getting to the point. Rain, fog, uncertainty, or the clouds in the background. That state of consciousness, the union of heart and mind, which allows us to do away with pointless pipe dreams and realize worthwhile, satisfying visions. The shading, on one hand, rain, on the other hand, representative of a mirror, whereby rain is not only a sign of sadness and sorrows. From ancient times, it has also been seen as a bond between heaven and earth. The gray sky, the positive of that is neutral, objective, composed, without prejudice, balanced, fair. Negative, clouded thinking, unconscious, apathetic, expressionless. So that's what the ultimate guide has to say. I also have here James Rickcliffe's Pithy Tarot. And this is interesting because he's got some ideas. Well, maybe before I go into this, I should come over to you and see what you guys think and see what some of the people in the chat say.
Kristen says, "Wake up, Chris." I'm perfectly awake. Thank you, Kristen.
Ejim's never had a look through the Solabuska before. It's a very difficult deck, and I never use it.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
some of the imagery is very brutal. It's, you know, kind of the medieval at its worst in a way. But some people like that kind of thing. Susie has the Lo Scarabeo repro of it. What? DBT? Man, DBT keeps coming up. That first reading makes me think of balancing rational mind with emotional mind to create a wise mind, says Kristen. Richard's talking something about gym tarot gear and esoteric index.
Yeah, he's talking. Elle wants him to make a T-shirt that has wielding strength or welding through strength, wielding through strength. So
okay,
it's part of an ongoing thing. Richard's going to end up, you know, going to end up sending everybody T-shirts with cool phrases on them.
And Kristen
So-
says, "Wake up, Chris." I'm sure Chris was like nodding off during my reading because I know I don't
That's
like
fine.
it when people read because it gets long-winded, you know. But I thought I should set the stage for debate or discussion on the topic. And so, if either of you have thoughts on the Three of Swords, and then now the Pithy Tarot, he uses popular quotes in terms of the way he sees things in cards. So I'm going to read you some of those. But first, I'll see if you guys, either of you, has anything you want to say about the Three of Swords.
I thought it was interesting how he talked about. So it's the kind of thing that I can't remember the exact words he used, but it was something to do with something germinating in the heart, and then it's the swords represent the intellect, taking that thing that's germinating, that thing that's an instinct or kind of being worked out, being worked through. The swords, the intellect, the mind takes that and makes it into something real. It kind of brings it forth, and it's interesting because I don't know about you guys, right? But when I'm reading, when I think about the meanings behind different cards, I think about like where they are on the story. Everything is somewhere on a story. So is it the Journey of the Swords, which is what we're on here? And you think about that as the growth of the mind, the development of the intellect and stuff. So the idea that what's came before the Three of Swords is something to do with your emotions. It's something that you've kind of germinated in your heart rather than in your mind. That's quite an interesting thought for me. And I hadn't really thought about it that way before, but it definitely is really interesting. I, in general, I mean, I think that card is it is like the combination of the intellect and the effect that that has on your emotional self and your heart. I think that's always going to be an aspect of reading that particular depiction of the Three of Swords, whether it's for the good or for the bad. I like that it pointed out about Cupid's arrow and how we associate Cupid's arrow going through the heart as being a good thing. So it kind of I'm conscious that I'm yapping on here. So just butt in or shut me up if you need to. But the idea that the depiction of the swords going through the heart might not necessarily be a bad thing. So it's that combination of the intellect, the intellectual self and the emotional self. It doesn't necessarily have to be a negative card, a negative outcome. I think I like that. I like that very much.
Kristen is appreciating this, and she loves to hear you ramble, Chris.
Thank you, Kristen.
And I just had a little vision while I was listening to you that a tarot sachet reminds me of Frida Kahlo.
Ooh, I'll take that.
Have you ever been compared to a Frida Kahlo tarot sachet?
Only by you, Robin.
Well, because she too had a mustache and often wore flowers in her hair. So,
Yes. But I have two eyebrows.
well, your glasses almost makes it look like one. It's
That's true. I think with the Three of Swords for me is sometimes it's quite the literal meaning. Somebody hurt your feelings by what they said or what they did. So, like the context of the reading, Chris was saying, it just really depends upon where it falls.
Mm-hmm.
I also think of this as it's the universal pinch to get you to do something that you may not want to do. It's that gentle nudge because of the swords have two edges, just like our thoughts do. Thoughts can either help us and inspire us, or they can hinder us and prevent us from achieving. And so I a lot of times when I'm reading, it's the universe saying, think about this a little differently. Just something needs to be different. And 3 is a great number because it's the ideal situation. It's that trinity of things, and it can add an element to us. So I think it's that combining, and when you combine things, they get unsettled before they settle again, before they get solid. So
it brought it to mind, to me, introduces the idea of the elements too, because the swords and the heart. Well, first of all, I thought, if swords are thought and heart is, well, heart is feelings, does the mind drive the feelings? Does the mind drive the heart, or does the heart drive the mind? There's a question there. But also, I've been reading a little bit online, trying to get to the bottom of these elemental designations, because this new deck I have, and I have a couple others, switch the fire and air sign thing, which we can get into with other cards. But as far as this card goes, it's like, are your thoughts in your heart, or is the passion in the heart? But like, if 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 fire is passion, then, and swords are fire, then hearts can be full of passion. But if it corresponds to the air or the mind, your mind related to your heart affects your feel. So what's controlling your feelings? Is it your head, or is it your loins, your passion? I don't.
no, I understand what you're saying. I'm sort of stuck on the elemental associations, because the swords I associate them with air, and emotions I associate with cups. So therein lies the great right, if you want to think about that. You have the projective and the receptive. And here what you have is, if the heart is the receptive, then it can be pierced. And when they're not in unison, it causes great difficulties, whether or not it started in the mind or if it started in the heart. So I think that there's a bit of a...
I guess I'm trying to sort of open up the dialogue on. Oh, hello, Jen Hen. Welcome. Trying to open the dialogue on the interpretation of this card, because I used to feel, as soon as I saw it, heartbreak, like it's a key word to sum the whole thing up. And when Kristen pulled the card a week or two ago, she was rather disheartened, shall I say, by receiving that card, because it seemed to have such a negative context. And other people were talking about the three in terms of growth. And that it seems like there's so many ways of looking at this card that are difficult for me. Now, because of this recent thing I discovered about different ideas about whether swords are air or fire, I looked into that a little bit, and apparently it was something that's doesn't go back very far. It came along with the Order of the Golden Dawn, and that actually older Marseille decks and so forth twisted the elements the other way around. I'm not finding much information about it, but I did find a couple little things online. So Arthur Waite or Crowley, I don't know which, whoever was in the Golden Dawn originally, apparently had some influence on changing the assignments for the elements. And some people use elements in reading and some don't. But if you do, I'm just kind of wondering what kind of a monkey wrench that throws into the works if you're not sure on which elemental association is the one to use. Or maybe you just use which works for you. I don't know. No, I'm rambling.
No, you're fine. Gerald, do you want to have you something you want to say?
No, I think I heard something that they flipped them because of
it has to do with astrology, I think.
Yeah, they flipped them because of it didn't work with astrology.
Yeah.
So they made that adjustment. And so that's all I was thinking. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just there's quite a few things. I picked up on a couple of things that you were talking about there, Robin. So, um, the elements thing, like I do read cards quite elementally. Elementally, is that a word?
Hmm.
But what I would say is I probably hone more in on that aspect of it when it comes to reading with like Pip and Marseille type decks. Um, because for me that's how I read that style of deck. It's like a combination of numerology and
Mm.
elemental associations, and it doesn't with that type of deck. It doesn't really matter like what's to an extent you could probably just read it as how you assign the elements. For me, I assign heir to swords and fire to wands. So that's probably how I would read a pip deck, and it wouldn't really matter if the creator did a wee flip. Um, when it comes to scenic decks, I think it would really depend on the dynamic of the deck itself because, like, I think that you can read numerology and elements and whatever, however, like astrology, however you like to read. But I think that it's for me anyway. I find it quite important to actually pay attention to what's happening on the card itself. So I don't know. It's quite difficult to.
Well, it's funny because I think RWS clones seem to be more story relatable. And like you said, the Marseille is almost more, and Pip decks are more maybe elemental and numerologically approachable.
It's funny. I think there's only one deck that I've got that's scenic, that's fully illustrated, that has switched the elements. There's only one that I can think of anyway, and that's the Cannon Reed Witches. But then, see when you actually look, the Ten of Swords looks like the Ten of Swords. It doesn't look like
Yeah.
the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Swords in that deck shows somebody lying like pretty much dead on the ground with swords about them. So although they say that they've flipped the elements, I don't really know that it's had that much of a bearing on the deck itself. So sorry, yeah, just wanted to say that.
Yeah, you're right, Chris. I can't think of any cards, any decks that I have where they have flipped them and the images are different, significantly different. But I do pay very close attention to the elemental aspects of the cards that are pulled, especially if, based upon the topic. So if somebody's looking at love, I want to be paying attention to cups and maybe some of the passion with the wands, but I also pay attention to when a reading is missing an element. Because if I've done a 10-card spread or a 9-card spread for somebody and there's only two elements involved, it's like, ooh, something's going on.
Yeah.
What stirred this up for me is this new deck I have, this Byzantine Tarot by Scylla Conway. And here's the Three of Swords in her depiction, which looks more almost like the Hermit or something. It's a guy in a cave, looks rather sad, and he's got a little fire there and the three swords stuck in the ground. So he looks sort of dejected and alone and miserable, which kind of goes a little bit with the heartbreak reading of the Three of Swords. But you have that fire element there in terms of the fire on the ground. You also have swords stuck in the earth. So there's an earth element. I don't get much of an air element other than what he might be thinking. But I looked also at the Ace of Swords, and this Ace of Swords is on a battlefield and it's in flames.
In flames.
And I thought, I've always associated swords with weaponry, which is more appropriate to this historical deck. The the Byzantine era and, you know, battles and armies and so forth. But, you know, you forge metal in fire, in heat. And what's scarier in battle than fire? You know, swords and fire. You know, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I suppose you could fight with a flaming wand, you know? But it just, I don't know. This really had me rethinking about those associations. Like, where does the fire come from? Where does the air come from in terms of these? Without the fire in this picture, if you're just waving a sword in the air, it's just cutting through air. It's not really doing anything until it strikes a body or something. You know, it's just, it doesn't seem to have much to do with the air to me in a way. Whereas wands, they usually have leaves on a tree branch that's like taking in air or expelling carbon dioxide. There's an interaction with the air. There's this element of growth, and I don't know. I'm a bit confused.
Well, but think about that, Robin. Is if swords are relate to air, thought, word, and deed, as I use them, what is the representation of thought, word, and deed? It's, you know, yeah, you're cutting through air, but you're also cutting through your thoughts. You're cutting through the words other people are saying, perhaps.
That's true, but wands are sort of growth, and growth relates to me also with the mind expanding and growing in its thought process. So there's that connection too. I'm not casting one aside. I mean, I think
No, not at all.
for the most part, it's established that swords are air and wands are fire. I'm just trying to sort of open up that a little bit more and see, you know, and maybe it comes down to, like Chris said, depends on the deck or the reading, how you read it, or how much importance or how much weight you give the elements in the reading. L says swords go swish swish in the wind, wands go spark spark.
I think for
And some
me,
of them go sachet, sachet, sachet in the wind.
wands, for me, if you think about like the cup and the coin and the sword and the wand, think about those four objects just as objects, right? For me, wands are the most dynamic. You know, a sword pretty much is a sword. It has, I don't want to say it has one purpose, but when you think of a sword, you think, right, that's what a sword is for. You know, it's for fighting and for battles. When you think of a cup, you drink stuff out of it. You know, it carries liquids. It doesn't really have another purpose. A coin, same thing. You know, it's used to exchange. You know, it's used as money, whatever. But a wand is so dynamic. It has so many, like you could think of a wand as being a magic wand. You could think of it as being a walking stick. You know, you can think of it as propping things up. A wand can be so dynamic and so. I'm using the word dynamic too much now. It doesn't even sound like a word anymore. Sorry, but it can have so many different uses, and I think relating it to the elements, that's fire, and you know that's that fire, that purpose, that passion, you know, that comes with the element of fire. Fire is also one of the kind of most right, hang on, I had a thought and then it's just gone away. What was I going to say? No, it's gone, but if it comes back I'll tell you. But yeah, that's yeah, it was
maybe it'll come back when I jump in. I was thinking also, we often refer to them as wands, but in some decks they refer to them as rods or staffs or batons. And I don't know about the batons thing, other than tarot sachet twirling a baton, perhaps. But the rods and staffs I was looking at the other day, and they said that rods are used in battlement to fight with, and staffs are used to lean on, like a cane, to help walk there and assist in standing or walking. So I thought that was interesting, that rods and staffs are not the same. Like, and you know that phrase, "spare the rod, spoil the child." Well, rod is used for striking the child, used in discipline, you know, whereas a staff is not a staff. a leader would hold up a staff, they wouldn't beat their, constituents with it. They would lead the king would hold up his staff, and it was a symbol of rule, but I don't know. Rods and staffs. Maybe I should go to the pithy quotes, unless you remembered what you were going to say, Chris.
No, not really. I don't. I think it was like a thought that hadn't fully formed in my mind, so I would probably have just been talking a lot of shite anyway. So it was a pity.
I'm just going to toss out some of these quotes then from this book. Three of Swords. Some of these are going to be enlightening, and some are just going to, just cast them off. People don't remember what you said so much as they remember how your words made them feel. Hurt people hurt people. So much sorrow comes from perceiving the world through our fears, prejudices, and wounds. The quote, "You are never upset for the reason you think." Wherever there is danger, hate, and fear, there's a dysfunctional story that is causing you suffering. Can we please stop defining ourselves by the wounds we have suffered? Negative thoughts are hurting you and only you. You have to understand the other person's suffering in order to resolve your differences with them. By three methods we may learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is noblest. Second, by imitation, which is easiest. Third, by experience, which is the bitterest. That's from Confucius. There is sorrow in some of the lessons we need to learn, but they show us how to survive, thrive, and grow. You're sadder but wiser now. That's another quote. That feeling you get when you realize you have to hurt someone for their own good. Be careful where you thrust the sword of truth, for it can wound as easily as a lie can. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. For most of us, this saying is more of a goal than a reality, but it leads us to some great advice. We all carry around the hurtful words or accusations that have been thrown at us through the years, from our childhood up to today, and from time to time we mentally relive hearing them. However, there's a way to make it so that those words stop hurting you. Whenever such thoughts come into your head, imagine the person who said them saying instead, "You are beautiful." Free to substitute whatever compliment you prefer, such as smart, kind, or talented. And two last ones. The painful thoughts our minds keep repeating are like a rut in the road that we easily fall back into. And if you can't say something nice about someone, don't say anything at all. Okay, some of those work and some of them don't, but I think there's a few interesting things in there. Oh, hey, Donna. We've got a few new people. Neem, Donna, Simon. I think Richard was here before. And Susie and Neem. I think I said that already. Welcome, everybody. So I don't know if you have any more thoughts on that, or if you have any more thoughts on elemental associations, or if we want to move to a couple of readings.
I think I've got a tendency to, so you know, with cards like the Three of Swords and the Nine of Swords and the Ten of Swords, like, right, so you know how, you know that thing that people say, like, where if you're brought up in a certain way and you don't like that was, you know, for example, if you were never allowed chocolate cake growing up, then it's almost like you flip it and your kid is always allowed chocolate cake. You know, it's like you feel as though you were deprived, so you kind of go the opposite extreme with your kid. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise you. I kind of feel as though I do that a wee bit with the Three of Swords, with cards like the 3, the 8, the 9, the 10 of Swords, like the Swords cards, basically, right? Because they kind of like have such negative like depiction in the Rider-Waite-Smith, and because of that, I have a tendency to kind of almost want to turn them around in my head right away. You notice whenever you see me do readings and I read through those cards, more often than not, I'm going to pull positive. I'm going to be talking about the positives when it comes to those cards, and I think in a way I'm like, it's almost like I'm giving the kid all of the chocolate cake. I'm going the opposite extreme, which isn't necessarily the best thing to do. So if anything, for me, what I'm learning from this is that I need to kind of, I need to, sometimes, like you say, sometimes it is just hurt feelings. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes that's what that card is saying. Someone has said something has come out of the woodwork, some like unholy truth has come out, and it's fucked you over basically. And sometimes that's just what it means. But other than that, I don't think I've got any other insights to offer.
Also, if you read Lenormand, the clouds in the background here, clouds generally or quite often are confusion. So there's a confusion element to this card as well. Maybe confusion over heart and mind. But I wanted to ask you, since hearts are feelings and cups are feelings, how you think about the comparison of these two cards?
Well, for me, I would answer that by saying that, well, the 3 is a number of growth, expansion. Do you know what I mean? It's like kind of like in the ace and the 2, you've had this energy and you've been kind of germinating it or building it inside. And the 3 is when it kind of goes, whoosh. Do you know what I mean? The 3 is when you bring it out into the open. When you expose it to the world. What I would say is that in the 3 of Swords, it's that intellect, it's that kind of analytical energy that you're bringing out into the world, and yeah, that is having an effect on your feelings. Those that over analysis, or those analyzing thoughts, that intellect can have that positive or negative effect on your feelings. Whereas I think in the 3 of Cups, it's the emotions that are coming out. It's not the analytical thought. It's the emotions that are coming out. In the form of, for example, parties, like gatherings with friends. Forming those kind of close bonds that we see those in those 3 people. So although both cards have emotion, I think it's the aspect of the self that's being expanded, that's growing. That's the difference between the two for me, anyway. What about you?
Yeah,
I
agree with you, Chris. I think a lot of times when we are around like the 3 of Cups, I always think of this as the shared minds and like ideas, because it's a great synthesis of the three aspects of the cups, where we have the heart, we have the emotions, but we also have healing. And when you combine those 3 things, then wow, it's this lifting up. It's this joy that is just it's just experienced. And with 3 of Swords, it a lot of times my experience has been it's me going inward on myself. It's my intellect trying to make sense of something that it can't understand. Is if because of the heart, I've got to understand what am I thinking about? How do I think about what I feel? And it's like trying to put fire. It's trying to put like oil and water together. You can't necessarily think about your feelings; you just experience them. So,
I think it's interesting that the 3 of Cups is such a joyous card. When I look at the 3 of Swords, it always seems to me like a very sad card. And I'm thinking, well, why don't we have that in the Cups? Except we do. It's just not the 3 of Cups. We have it in the 5, is it, with the cups turned over? We've got it in
the 5 and the 8,
where they're walking away from the cups. There are these sad feeling cards in the cups. They just don't happen to be the 3, but I'm kind of wondering why they did it that way, why they didn't make the 3 a sad card in the way that the 3 of Swords is.
I think the simple answer to that, Robin, is because the Rider-Waite Smith, a lot of it has been taken from playing card associations, and the Wands associates to the Spades, which is the bad suit. Do you know what I mean? It's the negative suit, whereas the Cups associates to the Hearts, which is the positive suit. And I think, if I remember my playing card numerology correctly, 3 is still growth. But the 3 of the 3 of Hearts is the growth of a good, it's positive growth. It's like kind of a good situation is growing, whereas the 3 of Spades is like negative. It's almost like the opposite. It's like you get growth and decay. So the 3 of Spades would be the kind of flip side, the kind of decay side to that. And I think that's why we see the negativity and the 3 of Swords and that such positivity in the 3 of Cups. But Jen's made an interesting comment here. She says, I always see the 3 of Cups as a release of joy, whereas I suppose with the 3 of Swords, it would be a release of thoughts around emotions or potential release of pain. So I suppose that's going to speak into the same thing. You've got this release of joy in the 3 of Cups or the 3 of Hearts, and the release of pain and the 3 of Swords or Spades.
Well, that's interesting that she says that, uses that word release, because now when I look at that, it's almost like a balloon being pierced by the swords.
Yeah, which is that
it's going to leak out the blood. It's going to release what's in there. So that
yeah, you have to let go of the way you're thinking about something in order to go to that next level. Because if you're still holding on to that, there's no growth. And I also think I have appreciated this because I didn't necessarily think of the 3 of Swords as the mind piercing the emotions. So it's an interesting thing. It just reminds me that very rarely do elemental aspects exist in a vacuum. There's usually some sort of an interaction between elements. You can't have what happens when you add too much air to fire, or when you add too much water to fire, or too much water to earth, or too much earth to air. It's the alchemy of it which I enjoy.
What do you make of these two? Maybe I should go to the other window.
So are you asking how we would interpret them, or?
Well, they both seem real. I mean, I was talking about the sadness element, in terms of that 3 of Swords and the heart. So both of these seem like very emotionally sad cards to me. Right. One of them both of them seem defeated or deflated in a way. One of them hasn't quite taken the steps to move beyond it, and the other's trying to put it behind them, or maybe just abandon the whole thing and leave. But I just wondered if you had thoughts on this regarding emotions.
I think with the 5, the person, this is a recent loss, and it's like they're still stuck in it because they can't see what's remaining. They're focused on those cups that are turned over. So they're in that immediacy of it. It's that real deep conflict. It's that disappointment. Whereas the 8, it's time to let it go and to move on. There's a maturity about that. And they're ready. They've come to an idea of mastering their emotions and allowing and taking the emotions to help project them to the next thing that they desire.
Chris, your thoughts?
I would agree with what Gerald just said. I read the 8 of Cups very differently from you, I think, Robin. I don't see that as a sad situation. the cups are very much still standing, and they're all kind of arranged such that they're going to be stable.
Well,
whilst
two
that
of them are
person
something, the other three aren't.
in the 8,
Oh,
the
oh
8.
no, you said this. I thought you said the 5. Sorry.
Yeah, so sorry, the 5, yeah, I'm with you. Like the 5 is an unstable number, though. The 5 is like change, which gives rise to stability, in my view. And when that happens in the emotions, it is kind of things like kind of hurt feelings, it's loss when we lose someone. When a relationship doesn't work out, it's that kind of thing that causes that. So the 5 of Cups, yeah, totally. I'm with you on that. But the 8 of Cups, what I'm saying is I don't see that as a sad situation. I see that as, this person's kind of, you used the word maturity, Gerald, and I think that word is perfect for this card. It's like almost you've reached this level of maturity. You're for me, 8s are like stability that gives rise to progression and movement. Do you know what I mean? And it's not one without the other. I don't think. I think it is like kind of both of them. It's the stability and the giving rise to the movement. So the person's got their emotions in order. They're kind of emotionally stable. That sounds like the wrong kind of phrase to use, but like just in their emotional selves, they've reached this kind of sense of self and this stability. That it's like it's kind of like they're kind of moving out of home. Like if you're you've come of age, and you're moving out of like your parents' house, you're getting a house of your own. That's kind of what I see there. I don't necessarily quite see that as a kind of moving away from like I'm just up and leaving my family. Like, I think that I wouldn't read that in the 8 of Cups. I would say that would be a sad situation, but I wouldn't read that in the 8 of Cups. The 8 of Cups for me is like I say, it's a happy card. I think it's like a card of progression, like positive progression.
I would add to that, Chris, is the 8 of Cups. The person has grown enough to realize that you can have lots of different feelings at the same time. You can be excited for moving out. You can be sad for moving out. You can, be disappointed that you can't take everything that you want with you. So I think there's that maturity about it. Yeah.
I see a couple comments I want to bring in. There's somebody new named ZB. I don't know. Welcome. Who says 5 of Cups always represents loss and possible suicide to me because of those 2 cups standing behind, like who's left behind. And Neem says not so much sadness as is with the 5 of Cups, more as emotions are in check and time to move on. And Jen Hen says, yes, I see the 8 of Cups as positive. Now, I wonder how you would feel in the 8 of Cups here if the figure in the background wasn't faced away from us and walking away from us so much as if the cups were in the background and the figure was walking towards us. They would still be walking away from the cups, but I would get a more positive feel from that than the fact that they've got their back turned on us and they're walking away from us. And there's also an element, you notice the skies, in one of them it's gray, which appears to be night. The other one is night too, but it's bluer, but there's a moon in the sky. And I kind of wonder if that moon impacts the symbolism in some way for either of you.
I think, to be honest with you, Chris, it for me it would depend upon. Well, the moon tells me it's a much more emotional card. So it's a very emotional card, but it also would depend upon where it falls and what's around it. Because, yeah, I'll just stop there.
They both seem very dark. The gray one seems to me like uncertainty or confusion. The one with the moon, the sky is a clearer blue, but it's not bright. It's like a moonlit night. Well, I don't know if that's a full moon or a quarter moon. It's more like a eclipse moon or something, but it's I guess it's a full moon. But it's not the full light of day. So there's like not full awareness there. So the confusion has passed and one has rendered a decision, but it's still, they still don't have the full picture, sort of.
And certainly that 5, the overcast, that's how that 5 of cups, the sadness can feel.
Mhm.
Everything is just overcast.
Yeah.
I'm not really. I mean, I've never really read too much into the, the celestial body that's in that card. I'm not even really sure if I see that as the moon. If I'm honest, now it probably is factually the moon, meant to be the moon, but it doesn't. It doesn't look very moony to me.
Doesn't what?
It doesn't look very moony to me. Like it doesn't really look like the moon. Do you know what I mean? Like it looks.
Yeah, it's a
So it could be the sun.
combined.
It's yellow.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's dark, like it's night, but it's like,
Is it?
and it's a crescent moon combined with a full moon. It's very peculiar.
In the Robin Wood, it's definitely a
Well, there's
Oh,
a
yeah,
crescent
you can see
moon.
the
crescent there, yeah.
so
Mm.
I missed a couple comments.
Simon says it's an eclipse, isn't it?
oh yeah, that's
Um, Kristen says, using your intuition to know when to move on. Bijam says, to travel from innermost feeling a walk toward the dawn and being present back in the world. Interesting. Neem says, mourning, release your emotions, letting them flow like the stream is not negative. If the person in the 5 of Cups was facing us, I'd take that more negative because the cups are not in order. Kristen says, we don't even know what's on his face. He could be cheesing ear to ear. Kind of looks like an eclipse to ZB. Simon says it's an eclipse. Wood Thrush says 8 of Cups brings to mind a feast or party with a champagne fountain. Good times being had by all by moonlight. I don't pick up on that myself, but okay. L choice, I think, plays a part too. With 8, the person has made the choice to walk away, the choice to lose, which inevitably is a gain. That's interesting. Neem says, with the head hung down, that'd be sinister. Inner and outer emotions. Just check the ultimate guide. It's the sun and moon eclipse, says Simon. Okay.
It's an eclipse.
Well, this is presuming, Simon, that the ultimate guide is the knowledgeable authority. we're going on faith that
Is that not what you've just been reading out of?
I did, but it's Johannes Feibig and Evelyn Berger. We often give authority to these authors, and yet each author has their own take on things. So yeah, where does that leave you in between? Which authority you give the most strength to, I guess? Who do you give the most authority to?
Well, I mean, you can see it being an eclipse, because like you've got what looks like two. I'm saying celestial bodies. That's not the right word, is it? You've got like two
Well, if it's an eclipse,
sunny moony things. Do you know what I mean? One of them's
if it's an
covering the other,
eclipse,
so
then
it's
this is
totally
a
an eclipse. I don't know what
daytime
it's called.
card, correct?
if it's an eclipse, it could be a daytime. Well,
If the moon is eclipsing the sun, then yes, that would be happening during the day. We don't see the sun eclipsed by the moon at night, do we? It's a lunar eclipse. It usually,
yeah, that's the shadow.
I don't know. I'm confused. I'm just wondering if this is a day card or a night card. I always read it.
Sorry, guys. I think my internet's a wee bit unstable here.
I always read it as night, so I'm not sure. Do people in chat think this is a day card or a night card? Sue says, if it's not Mary Greer or Rachel Pollack, I'm out.
Well, let's see what Rachel says about it. Let's see if she
Simon
covers
says
whether it's a...
conscious will. The sun and moon fight for mastery, or they complement each other. The sun usually stands for the conscious will. The moon represents what is one's own private below the level of consciousness. See, I don't know. I mean, it's funny. What was it, Neem or somebody said something about a darker aspect of the figure walking towards us. If this card, oh, I don't have it. I almost wish I did have the deck. What's that, reverse or inverse tarot or whatever, or tarot after, or whatever you call it.
Yeah, the before and after.
There's one that shows you the other side, the other viewpoint of the card, which would be really interesting to me.
Do you want me to see if I can find it, Robin?
I don't think it's the before and after, though. I think it's that other.
You think it's the vice versa?
Yes, yes. Do you have that, Jeff?
Okay. I do. Hold on.
Oh, fantastic.
I'll be right back.
I was going to ask someone to post it afterwards on my Facebook page, but
I can read out from 78 Degrees of Wisdom what Rachel says about this card.
Okay.
So she says here, at first, the scene appears to take place at night, but when we look closer, we see that actually it depicts an eclipse, with the moon moving across the sun. A moon phase, that is, at period of inner awareness, is taken over from outer directed activity. By joining moon imagery to a scene of movement, the card teaches us that developing a deeper sense of self is also an action. And she's comparing it to the hermit and stuff, just because the similarity between the figure and the card and the hermit. But yeah, so it's an eclipse.
okay.
Hang on. I'll be right back, Robin. Keep talking.
Sure.
So, Robin, I think I cut out a wee bit there. I'm having internet troubles. I think I'm back fine now, but I lost you for a wee minute.
But we didn't lose you. We heard everything you said.
All right, okay.
I don't think we had much to add, so you didn't miss much.
Cool.
No, sermon. Simon the Sermon says night just means absence of the sun, right? The day turns to night with an eclipse. Beecham always saw this as a nighttime card. ZB says, I think day, you can see the light hitting the water and creating shadows on rocks. Interesting.
So what do we think about all this anyway? Like whether it's day or night, whether it's a sun or a moon or both. Like,
I don't know that there's a definitive answer. Simon says Robin's still not convinced. I like to take all this stuff into account. The more that's in a card, the more ways I have to look at a card. And this is, even though we've looked at these cards a million times, the more we discuss it, the more comes up, in our looking at them. More symbols come up, or more ways of reading the symbols. Any luck there yet, Gerald?
Hey, Robin. Taro Sachet had to step away, so she asked me to join in. So I hope it's okay.
It's fine. She needs
okay.
her.
So I've got the 5 of Cups, which is what we see here. But then the flip side of it is this.
Uh-huh.
But I'm trying to find the 8. Really?
Diane says thinking cap is on now. I like it. And Jen Hen adores you, Gerald.
Okay, so here is nope. Here is the traditional one that we see, which does look like an eclipse.
What?
The person walking away.
Uh-huh.
And then the reverse of it is this.
Oh, that's completely different to me. That's more like the 5 almost. Except except the cups are up instead of spilled.
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't what I was expecting. Because they're still kind of looking, they're looking towards the cups. I was talking about one where they would still be walking away from the cups, but the cups would be behind them. Oh shoot! I just lost you there for a minute. So yeah, I don't know. What did somebody say? Sue says, "What are the benefits or pitfalls of an unexpected period of darkness?" Elle can't see on her phone. A comment now. LOL.
Yeah, that one had a comment.
Okay, we may have mulled this over enough for one night, but do we want to do a couple of short readings? Are you up for that? Either of you? Both of you?
I mean, if somebody wants a reading, then yeah, fire away.
There's
11 here though, so if you're,
I'm sorry, Gerald, did you say something?
I would be happy to if I would be welcome. I don't want to overstep my bounds.
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
Let me see if I can find the banner. How do I fix this?
What deck are you using, Chris?
The Chakra Healing Tarot by Malin.
Oh yes. You're putting that in my face because you have it and the rest of us don't have it yet.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's a good thing.
Which one?
The Chakra Healing Tarot, Robin, the one that I did live with Malin the other day. Oh dear, excuse me, I'm sorry.
I'm going to use the This Might Hurt tarot.
Simon, have a good sleep. And I hope your wee mum's a wee bit better tomorrow.
Bye, Simon.
Good night, Simon.
I think I'm going to try this Byzantine, which will probably fuck everything up.
I really like the look of that deck, by the way.
What?
I really like the look of that deck. The
images are beautiful. The cardstock is crap. I hate the cardstock. But these are very different. Do either of you have any of Scylla Conway's decks?
I don't know.
Because the last couple, which Simon likes a lot, the Divas of Creation and the Shimmering Veil, are much more abstract, and these are much more what's the word? Kind of academic in a way in their representation. But they still have a lot of emotion in them, a lot of moodiness.
Has anyone got a question?
We're waiting on a card from the chatters. Does any of the chatters, can any of them supply us with a question for a short reading? We usually do like a 3-card reading.
how you want to do this, Robin, with there being three of us? Are you want to do 3 cards each, or are you wanting to do 1 card each and combine it into one reading, or
We could
what you
do
want to do?
3 each, but don't let it go too long.
Okay.
I don't mean that in a bad way, Chris, but since there are 3 of us, I know yours
If you
reading.
don't mean it in a bad way, then why are you directing that comment at me, Mr.
Well,
Robin?
you know, you can ring an hour reading out of 3 cards, where I'm lucky to give you about 30 seconds. So since there are 3 of us,
Right,
all right,
okay, I'll try and keep it short and snappy. Message received.
Jen says, "Oh, I thought you and Gerald were kissing." You leaned to his window and he leaned to yours, and out of the corner of my eye, I thought, "What's going on?"
My mic is going dead, so.
As if I would cheat on Tarot Sachet with Gerald.
Jen says,
Jackie's
"What's the
first
best
one.
way I can get through this shitty low energy time?"
I think Jackie's first. Jackie's a couple of questions above her.
Sorry,
A couple of comments. No,
I
you're fine.
missed it. Okay, we'll go back to Jackie. How will things go with the new teacher starting in 2 weeks' time?
Whose is that?
That's Jackie. How will things go with the new teacher starting in 2 weeks' time? And which of you would like to go first?
Gosh, I don't mind going first. I've got my cards here.
Okay.
This is it's a bit of a difficult reading, Jackie, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not. I'd love to say that it's all like kind of like unicorns with rainbows flying out their buttholes, but that's not what I'm seeing. So my situation card is the 9 of Wands, and that's a card of being defensive, of having been through quite a lot. And the 9 of Wands, we often see this figure who's battle worn. You know, they're injured, they're burnt, they've got bandages on. You know, so that just tells you that they've been through a lot. You know, that that's kind of this path of passion. Has, you know, as much as it's given them purpose and it's been a good journey, you know, they're wounded from it as well, you know. The advice card that I've got for you is the 4 of Swords. And that's almost like kind of taking some time to just kind of withdraw, like go back within yourself, you know, calm your thoughts, calm your mind. It's almost like kind of putting your sword away. There's something that tells me that, you know, is that something that you're feeling particularly, that there might be a bit of a difficult relationship? That seems to be the flow that I'm getting here. That seems to be what I'm picking up on, because then the outcome card, I've got the 5 of Pentacles, you know. So we've got this kind of, you know, defensive situation, the need to kind of almost withdraw a wee bit from it and just kind of be kind of at one within yourself, you know, just be at peace within yourself, you know. And you know, you don't say that when someone is, you know, absolutely fine, hunky dory, having a great time. You say that when there's a bit of a difficult situation, you know. And then obviously with the 5 of Pentacles, we kind of get this disconnected feeling, you know. So the last 2 cards, the chakra that's energized is the heart chakra. So really kind of emotion, really picking up on the emotional kind of side of it, you know. Sorry, I'm trying to kind of keep this short, but I think you can kind of, I've maybe not put that in the most eloquent way, but I think you can kind of pick up on what I'm saying. You know, I think the big thing is that advice card is just achieving that security in your emotions by achieving, or the balance in your emotions by the balance in your mind. You know, it's all about finding that inner peace, I think. So hopefully that I'm just off my game and this is all rubbish and you're going to have an absolutely great time when you know, with the new teacher that's starting. But if you do find that, you know, then hopefully this has been at least meaningful for you. That's me.
Gerald?
It's a tough, I mean, it's definitely a starting. So, and I think, and it's going to be an emotional time for both of you as you're dealing with this. And I'm wondering if does this teacher need a mentor? Are you the mentor? So I'm just curious about that. What's the relationship there? Because they're you know it, it's just starting out, just trying to get into it can be really a tough thing. But it's going to be emotional for right now, is what I feel.
If I've remembered my facts right, Gerald,
Yeah.
Jackie's a classroom assistant, so she'll be potentially working with, she works with teachers, obviously, so potentially could be working with, I don't know whether it's this person or, but that's her role. Jackie's role
Yeah.
is as a classroom assistant.
Okay. So Jackie, you could basically be the person to help guide through all of the emotions of being a new teacher and in this classroom. You could be that person who offers that. So and a go between the new teacher and maybe the mentor and to help the students. So that's me.
Okay. I'm going to have a lot of trouble with this one. I have the 7 of staves, the 2 of staves, and fortitude. Well, for me, fortitude is the telling card having to do with strength. But the first two, let's look at these. The first card is the 2 of staves. Let's see, how will things go with the new teacher starting in a week's time? Not sure if this is the new teacher, or if this is Jackie, or if this is the people in charge of the school. It looks to me like it's the new teacher. The new teacher's making a start, looking for some guidance, perhaps. I'm not really reading this in terms of the traditional meanings of those cards. I'm just looking at the imagery here. The second one is the 7 of staffs. In this one, they are trying to climb. They're trying to make some effort. It looks like I can't quite tell if they're holding that staff over their head or if someone off the card is holding a staff to help them get their footing. So maybe this new teacher needs a little bit of help, a little bit of support, a little assistance. Then we've got fortitude. And here again, you've got a sort of a guiding angel with a figure. Both of them seem to be holding on to the wand. I wouldn't exactly say they're battling for possession of the wand, but that could be. I think it's more of an assist mode or looking for assistance or guidance. And it may require some strength on your part if you're the one tending to assist or be supportive in the situation. So that was a little bit of a vague rambling. I don't know if you got anything out of it or not.
I think Jen is next, or Hen.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the highlighted. Let's see, where is here? Oh, here we go. What? And after Jen, we'll take one more. Oh, Brienne is here. Hello, Brienne.
Hi, Brienne.
Just checking quick. Dory, hello, Dory Ralston. Yeah, we're going to take one more after this one and then call it a night. So, Jen's question, what's the best way I can get through this shitty low energy time?
That way I can get through the shitty.
Do either of you feel the compulsion to go first?
I'm just having a wee look at my cards just now, Robin.
I can go first.
All right, let me put you on big screen.
So the best way, I did 3 cards, and what I did is where you are now, where you want to be, and then in between we have the Ace of Wands. So what this tells me, oh, that's backwards, sorry. So what this tells me is okay, sorry, I'm getting lots of information. I'll be quick. What are you, I mean, you are in a low energy time. Part of me wants you to embrace that you're having a low energy time and to not be frustrated, but honor the fact that you were in a low energy time, because the shadow card for this, the Ace of Wands, is the High Priestess. So it feels very cyclical. It feels, forgive me, but it feels very hormonal. And take care of yourself. And don't try to do too. It's not going to change overnight, so don't expect it to. You know better than that. So, yeah, and there's movement would help, but just actually getting out physically and moving and trying not to do too much. So that's me. I don't know if that was helpful, Jen.
You want to go next, Robin, or do you want me to?
I think Mr. Maths should go next.
I actually got the Ace of Wands as well, Jen. I got it as it's interesting, isn't it? I got it as my third card. I got the Seven of Wands. It's been your situation, and I got the five. This Five of Pentacles has come out again. My cards are shuffled and all that kind of thing. It's come out because it was the cards came out. Like the Seven of Wands and the Five of Pentacles is very much a kind of, it speaks to your own, the power that you've got within yourself. The Seven of Wands is someone who, is confident in their own power and is confident in their own kind of, being in that energy. Just like Gerald says, sometimes we need to kind of, we need to accept that we're in that low energy phase in order to let ourselves regenerate and build that energy back up, and see when the time is right. You'll know and you'll be ready, because quite often in the Five of Pence, this person, that the house is there, it's right there for them. Do you know what I mean? They can quite easily walk in that door. In a lot of Five of Pentacles depictions, we see that there's the key is there, or that person can choose to, to walk back in, or to walk on and build a new situation for themselves. It's very much a card of, the lesson as realizing that the power lies with you. So, and then you've got this kind of, the outcome is this Ace of Wands, this injection of energy, which is exactly what you're looking for. You're going to get your energy back, but you just kind of need to give yourself time to heal, I think, is what this is saying.
Yeah, that's interesting, Chris. That's similar to, they're very supportive of each other.
Yeah.
Okie doke. Excuse me. I have I have the 4 of coins as the center card. I'm sort of stuck in a little bit of a rut. I always read my cards as the center card is the person at the center of their situation. And for me, I read this as here's this person huddled in front of their shelter, gathering, counting up their coins, keeping things under control, being very defensive, protective of their situation, or maybe defensive in general. That seems to be something somebody experiencing a shitty low energy time might do, is to retreat into themselves and focus on things they can control, they've got control over. Now, before and after that, I've got 2 cards that involve sharing. I've got the Lover's card and the 6 of coins. The Lover's card, if you have seen my walkthrough of this deck, you'll see I've described these this Adam and Eve as sort of a Barbie and Ken with nondescript little nubbins where their genitals are supposed to be. But, you know, I have to ask Cilla Black. I mean, I keep calling her Cilla Black, Cilla Conway, what that's all about, if I should meet her. But here they are by the tree of knowledge, sharing fruit, maybe experiencing a little bit of temptation there. And then in the last card, it's a bit of sharing the wealth with others. So I'd say the way of getting out of that closed off, shitty, low energy time would be like the other guys said, sort of getting out in the woods, getting out and about, spending time with other people, sharing things with other people. Maybe try to have a meal or a walk or a discussion with a few different people. Things that sort of pull you out of yourself and into situations that involve others. I find that often when we are stuck in focusing on ourselves, it kind of helps to keep busy, get busy by reaching out to other people or getting involved in their problems versus our problems seems to make our problems move to the background. So that's my thoughts on this particular reading.
Don't feel like you need to do it all yourself, Jen, Henry. Like, you know, you've got a lovely family around about you that will, I'm sure, want to support you. So, I mean, you've
And
got
all
those
of
two.
us too.
Yeah, of course, you've got everyone, but you've got those 2 6s there, yeah, and that's like that. You know, there's a lot of harmony in those cards. It's a lot about like kind of someone else being there to do the shit you can't do right now. So don't be scared to like kind of ask for help and stuff like that. You get through this by, you know, by having that energy exchange, by accepting that help from someone else, I think.
And I think it's also really important to remember, Jen, that when you ask for help, it gives someone an opportunity to share of themselves with you, and it makes them feel good. It may feel really difficult to ask for help, but when you do, you give somebody an opportunity to share of themselves.
Kristen Louise says, I see the Lovers as about choice between submission to what's controlling you versus knowledge and moving forward on your journey. So now we have a question from, oh, thanks, ZB. ZB says, this is such a chill live stream. Love it. Thank you. I'm enjoying it too. Sue has a question. Am I looking at a new boss soon? And this will be the last one. We usually do about 3 because we spent an hour or more on topics earlier on. We don't want it to run too long. And also, this looks like a yes or no question, but we'll try to phrase it in the manner of what our three cards are telling us about a potential new boss.
So, sorry, do you mind if I go first? I just jumped in there. I do apologise.
It's fine. It just takes me a second to enlarge you.
Is there any possible way that you could throw your hat in the ring to be the new boss, or am I way off with that? Just with the cards that have jumped out, with the stuff that's kind of come to mind here, you know, I've did something. So my three cards are: what is the answer to the question? Why is that the answer? And well, what the fuck do I do now? Do you know what I mean? Like, those are my three kind of cards. What should I do? Is the five of wands. Compete. Do you know what I mean? Get yourself in there. You're saying maybe, right? Compete. Get temperance for what is the answer to the question. This card jumped out of the deck, and when I say jumped, it actually, like, I was shuffling and it kind of went up and then flew. Do you know what I mean? It didn't just fly out like that. It kind of went whoosh like that. So you get temperance. Now, if we look at the chakras that are energized here, we've got the solar plexus and the sacral chakra. Solar plexus is all about your sense of self identity, and your sense of self identity and sense of identity and sense of self, and that kind of purpose in life, you know. And then the sacral is like kind of creativity. It can quite often be laced in with like sexuality and stuff like that as well. But at its core, I think at its essence, it's like your creativity. I want you to get involved. You know, don't just kind of be passive and let the situation happen. Compete, get yourself in there, get involved. Heart chakra, get your heart in it. You know, like properly feel it. And why? Like, why should you do that? We'll get the three of chalices, because you would make an amazing boss, because you're not going to kind of be like this kind of manager figure who who just feels as though they're sitting from a lofty position and giving out orders. You've actually done the shit. You know the job inside out, and you get on well. You know, you've got good working relationships with the people around about you, so you would be very much suited. So I would say, if there's an opportunity to throw your hat in the ring, Sue, then fucking go for it. That's how I would read those cards.
Hmm. Okay, I guess I'm next. I look up and there I am. Thanks.
I pushed you into the spotlight.
Sue, I didn't do a 3-card reading. I did a yes or no spread with 8 cards, and the abridged version is no, because they're still trying to figure some things out. The bigger there. I wonder if they're going to be moving people around, or somebody's going to retire or get fired. It's there. I'm not understanding this right, because part of it is somebody is isolating themselves from the best options. But there's an opportunity for you to take a second, let some of this stuff settle down, and then definitely make yourself known. I think it really feels to me like I have a pairing of the Chariot and the Moon, which tells me there's an opportunity to actually take action and to put yourself in there, but you've got to trust your intuition on when to do it, because it's just you don't whoever is going to be the new it's just too much. There's too much going on right now, and things have to settle down at work for this. I think stuff is going to fall around you, around where you work. I have no idea what you do, Sue. So I don't think you're directly impacted yet. I'll stop. I'm blathering.
Okay.
Sue said yes to something. I don't know if it was to something I said. But
I'm going to echo some of what Gerald just said. The first card I have is the 5 of staves. And for me, in this particular deck, it looks like a gathering of a bunch of authority figures, maybe a bunch of ambassadors, emissaries, people in authoritative positions. And they, since it's the 5, we usually go with the 5 of wands. I would say there seems to be some bickering or some debate over what's going to happen. The people, the managerial people who are in charge are debating the issue. We don't know yet what's going to happen. I don't think they've yet decided. And the second card is the Hanged Man, which is, you know, basically you're being kept in suspense over this situation and whether or not, you know, they've chosen someone. Who are they going to choose? But the question was, am I looking at a new boss soon? Card number 3 is the 8 of staves, the 8 of wands, which usually is a very quick action, eight wands flying through the air. This is a very curious card, though, in this deck. And I found it to be a very confusing card until I looked it up in the book, because to me, usually the 8 of wands are wands all going in the same direction. In this one, you've got a figure on the right, on the right there, in the opposite direction, almost like an opponent. And I wondered what that was all about. I looked it up in the book, and it turns out that this is actually the archery teacher instructing the students on how to use their bows and arrows, which I think is a poorly designed card. I think he should be facing the same direction they are, because I believe when they're counter one another, it doesn't feel like he's instructing. It feels more like he's an opponent. But maybe that plays into the confusion over the decision about this new boss. Maybe all of the people haven't got all their ducks in a row yet. Like I said, it's in suspension and the authorities are still trying to work it out. I think it is going to happen soon because of the nature of 8 wands. But at the moment, they may be like, you know, near the end or at the height of their debate or discussion or determination about this. So that's the way I read that. So, Kristen has a horrible migraine that just keeps getting worse. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope we didn't cause it.
oh,
Hope you feel better soon, Kristen.
I think we've done a perfect 2 hours on the dot. So I think it's a good way to close out the night, if I can find the question to unhighlight. Where is it? There.
Just click any and.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you all for being such good sports, and thank everybody in the chat room. And I always kind of stumble like a fool into these lives, not knowing what the heck I'm going to do. At the last minute, I come up with a half-baked idea, but usually we seem to make a pie out of it and serve it up all around. So,
are you calling me half-baked, Robin?
No, me. No, you helped put the glaze on top of the pie. Thank you. The cherry on the pie, Gerald. Thank you. And so we're going to say good night to everybody. And if the guys will hang around a second or two after, I'll say goodbye to them afterwards.
Bye,
so
everyone.
thank you all, and
Thanks.
fortune, fate's willing. I won't say God willing. We'll see you again in a couple weeks. Okay. Good night.
Everyone.
Good
Have a
night.
great
Take care.
week.